Hey, so this is a Mermail combo tutorial for the February 2026 format. I'm going to show three combos. I'm going to show the first combo is a Numen Lock. I'm going to show an alternative to the Numen Lock, which you can go for if you see your opponent's hand and Numen's not very good against their deck, when you view their hand with Minstrel. And then I'm going to show a third combo, which is the Mizuchi combo. This one's my personal favorite, and I think not enough people go for it. All these combos are going to be using Deep Sea Coelacanth and the fish cards, so those cards, and then Numen, which, for those who don't know, after Barrier Statue of the Waters banned, people play Numen, which says neither player can special summon monsters with 1800 or more attack. So it's a floodgate that's good against Draco Tail and honestly a lot of decks. One thing I will note is I try to build each of these combos with minimal bricks in the deck outside of the required fish for Coelacanth and Numen. So I will show the first combo. They're all going to be Neptabyss plus one water, any water. So it says to starting hand, this is what I would do. Normal summon Neptabyss and use the effect. And we will summon, or we'll send Dragoons as costs to add Shrine from our deck to your hand. I do it this way to play around Droll and Lockbird better, and I also think this plays best into Fualos. A lot of combos you'll also see will send Shadow Squad, which may work better into like an Imperm or Ash on Neptabyss, but honestly nobody's doing that. So I figure I just want to beat Droll with this, and this is the best way to do it because you need to search Shrine off Neptabyss. So anyways, new chain, you'll activate Dragoons, and we'll add Minstrel. You have to add Minstrel here because you want to view their hand before you activate Shrine. So we'll do Minstrel effect, discard the water, view their hand, banish whatever hand drop they have, or if they don't have any hand drops, what you'll want to do is banish their worst card, and I'll explain why later. So we'll do that, and now that our Shrine's free to resolve, we'll activate Shrine to summon Deep Sea Coelacanth. New chain will activate Neptabyss's mandatory trigger to summon back a level 3, which will be Shrine. Next we'll activate Coelacanth, discard Impulse. Any card, obviously. And then we'll summon Grethus, Butterfly Fish, Spike. The zones for these cards don't really matter yet. I'll explain what zones are important as we get there. All right, so this is your board. Next, first action you'll want to do is overlay for Lay Virtue Dragon. I do this first before synchroing because I want Lay Virtue in the extra monster zone, because this card's the first thing we want to link off for material, for a link summon. So we'll use Virtue Effect, Detach Butterfly Fish to add back Dragoons. Next, we will synchro Grethus and Pike for Monoceros. On Monoceros summon, we'll use this effect to revive a level 4 fish. Well, a fish monster. Bam. So we'll go Pike. On summon a Pike, we'll activate the effect, discard Dragoons to search out level 3 water, which will be Shadow Squad. Next, we'll use Dragoon's effect on a new chain to add Moon Glacier. So we have 6 waters in our graveyard right now. So to get down to 5, what we need to do is we need to overlay for Abyss Trite, activate the effect on summon to special summon a level 3 tuner. And with this summon, we're down to 5 waters, 3, 4, 5. So we can special summon Moon Glacier and rip 2 more cards. So at this point, your opponent has 3 cards ripped from their hand, 2 from Moon Glacier, 1 from Minstrel. And most combos that I'm going to show are going to start this way because, as I explained, you need to do Minstrel before you activate Shrine. You need to add Shrine off of Neptabyss because you want to play around Droll. And then the only way to get to Moon Glacier is by adding off of Lay Virtue back the Dragoons to trigger to search the Moon Glacier while staying on 5 waters. So this is like the basic start to the combo. With that being said, next we will synchro off for Synchro 7. And we'll make Donna. Optionally, you can use the Grethus effect to make Donna gain attack, but it won't really matter. At this point, we will link summon Poseidra. And then we'll XC summon. Link off Poseidra and Lay Virtue, like 4 extra deck cards, to summon Coral Anemone. And now, on Anemone summon, what we will want to do is use Poseidra's effect. Discarding random card, not Shadow Squad, but we'll use Poseidra's effect, discarding random card to bring back Shrine, Butterfly Fish, Minstrel, not Minstrel, Bamboozle, Grethus. So we'll bring back these three. And then we will synchro off all three for Trishula. On the summon of Trishula, we'll activate the effect to banish a card from their grave. Those discard off Malacia, and then a card from their hands. Now they're down to 1 card in hand. And we'll also use Greethus effect to make Trishula gain attack. So we'll be at like 3,300, I think, or 3,100. Next, we'll use Donna's effect, shuffle back a card from their banished pile to the deck. This is where or to their hand. This is where if you banished a hand drop, you can shuffle back a different card that was banished off of Trishula, and discarded off Malacia. Or if you banished like their worst card, you would give them that card back with Donna. So we'll use Donna's effect, shuffle it back to summon out Numen from our deck. And that's why I think it's important to structure the combo this way, is because you resolve Trishula and Glacia before using Donna. So it gives you the most amount of cards to choose from to give your opponent back using Donna's effect before summoning Numen. So at this point, we are now locked under Numen, so we will link off 2 cards. I'll link off Donna and Numen to summon Lizardos. So we can do this because Lizardos is less than 1,800 attack, so we can special summon it. And then we'll use Donna's effect. When it's sent to graveyard, shuffle back the card banished off of Numen into the deck. And then we'll also use Butterfly Fish effect on summon, discarding Shadow Squad as cost to summon itself. So we will summon out Butterfly Fish. New chain will activate Shadow Squad. And Shadow Squad will just summon out Shrine. I like summoning out Shrine here just because it gives, it puts another Shrine in graveyard, basically. So if something were to happen in the game, say with Saw Out, you can just draw multiple cards if your opponent has multiple turns. Next we'll use Lizardos effect, draw 1 random card. And now we will activate Coral Anemone's effect to special summon Deep Sea Minstrel. On the summon of Minstrel, we'll activate this effect, mill 3 random cards from the top of our deck to return Atlantean Dragoons to the top of our deck. Here, I'll put these on the bottom. All right, next we will link off Butterfly Fish and Coral Anemone for Mermail King. This will make it so the opponent can't target monsters it's pointing to. Next, we'll synchro Minstrel and Shrine for Poseidon. We'll activate Poseidon's effect to revive General Greethus. Now we'll use Greethus effect. At this point, our opponent will have 2 cards in hand, so we have to revive level 2 or lower, and we will revive Numen to his own Neptabyss point soon. So now we'll synchro off Porpoise and Numen for Croco Dragon. On the summon of Croco Dragon, we'll activate its effect to draw 1, and that'll be the Dragoon that we stacked earlier off of Minstrel. It's important that you don't use Greethus effect here to make Croco Dragon gain effect to play around Vanquish Soul Madlove effect to bounce, because in the event that your opponent starts to turn Normal Soul Madlove, activate the effect to return lowest defense on the field. Croco Dragon is gaining 1,500 from 3 cards, and then Numen only has 1,800 defense. So if they did Madlove to bounce, right now Croc is at 30, 15, it's at 25. We would chain Croco Dragon's effect, discard Dragoons, and whatever you want to pop the Madlove. And then now Croco Dragon's attack will become 15, or its defense will become 1,500, which is less than Numen's. So when the chain resolves, Madlove will be popped off of Croco Dragon's effect, it'll bounce to the extra deck, and Numen will stay face up. So that's why you don't want to use Greethus to have this gain attack if you're playing against Vanquish. But yeah, so this is the end board. I think this is really strong because of all the cards I mentioned where you can choose what you rip off of the Minstrel, and then also you get a Resolve Trishula before summoning out the Numen, and then you have the most disruptions here to protect the Numen because you have Croco Dragon pop, discard Dragoons, search out your infantry, and then you also have Shrine effects. Banish, discard infantry, pop a card they control. So you have 2 pops, they can't target Numen, and then you also rip 2 off of this, and then also the Trishula. So they only have 3 cards total after drawing for turn. Okay, so that's the first combo. Next, I will show a derivative on that combo, and I'll go through it a little quicker, just because it's similar to it, but it is it's a version of the combo where after you use Deep Sea Minstrel of either hand, if Numen is not a very good floodgate against the deck they're playing, you can change the combo into one where, into a stronger end board without Numen. So I'll show you how to do that, and then after that I'll show my favorite combo, which is the Mizuchi combo, which I think not enough people are doing, and I think that combo is really cool. Okay, so we'll start similar, and I'll run through this start a little quicker because it is the same. So normal summon Neptabyss, activate the effects. We will send Dragoons to add Shrine, Goons, add Minstrel. Next we'll activate Minstrel, discard a water, banish a hand drop from the opponent's hand, and then we will activate Shrine. Summon out Coelacanth, Neptabyss mandatory trigger, revive level 3. Now we'll activate Coelacanth effect, discard random card, summon out Pike, summon out Butterfly Fish, summon out Greethus. And now, similar to before, what we will do is overlay Butterfly Fish and Shrine to make Virtue. Virtue detach the fish to add back Dragoons. Next, we'll Synchro 7. For Monoceros. Monoceros effect, revive out Abyss Plague, discard Dragoons. Search out Shadow Squad, and then Dragoons effect New Chain, search out Molunglacian. Next, we will overlay Monoceros and Coelacanth, summon out Trite. Activate Trite's effect on summon to summon out level 3 tuner. Now, we will synchro off, or revive level 3 tuner. Now we'll summon out the Molunglacian because we have 5 waters engraved after Trite revive. Rip 2 for that, and then we will synchro 7 for Prima Donna. And this is where it gets different. So now on Donna's summon, we'll activate Butterfly Fish effect, discarding Shadow Squad's cost, summon itself out, and then Shadow Squad will trigger on a new chain to summon out Neptabyss. Next, we will link off Virtue and Butterfly Fish to summon out Coral Anemone. We'll use Anemone's effects to revive Neptabyss from grave. And then we will synchro off Donna, both Neptabyss, 7, 8, 9, for Trishula. Summon a Trishula, we'll use activate the effect, chain 1, and we'll activate Donna, chain link 2. This will shuffle back the card you banish off of Minstrel. So in this combo, if you did not have to banish a hand trap with Minstrel, what you'll do is you'll banish their single best card. Because in this case, we're always gonna shuffle it back with Donna. So there you go. And then we will use Trishula effect, rip another card. So we rip 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th card off Minstrel. Next, we will overlay for Poseidra. And then we will link off Poseidra and Coral Anemone. So all these cards to summon out King. On the summon a King, we'll activate Poseidra effect, discard 1, to summon out our waters. In this case, we will summon out Greethus, Minstrel, where is it? We'll summon out Minstrel, Shadow Squad, and a non-tuner. There it is. Shrine. Oh no. Oops. So yeah, we'll summon out these 3. And then on the summon, we will activate Minstrel effect, mill 3 to the grave, to stack Dragoons to the top of our deck. Now what we will do is we'll synchro Minstrel and Shrine for White or Porpoise, activate the effect to revive a level 4 lower fish from our graveyard. We'll revive Greethus. And then we'll synchro off Greethus and Porpoise for level 9. And that will be Crocodragon. On the summon of Crocodragon, we'll activate Croc chain 1, Greethus chain 2. It's fine to give it attack now. even though it is only 200 because our opponent has 1 card in their hand. So Crocker Dragon will draw into the Dragoons that we stacked off of Minstrel, and we'll activate Shadow Squad's effect, discard Dragoons. Then New Chain will activate Dragoon's effect to search out infantry. And now we will overlay Poseidra and Shadow Squad for Biscayas. And at this point, we will pass our turn. So what we have here is we've ripped 4 cards in total from our opponent's hand, and we know what their last card is. Presumably, it's the worst card in their hand. And then they get 1 top deck. So they have 2 cards after drawing for turn to try and break this board. And what we have is, so this is one way to end the combo. Basically, you can do it like this, and if you want, because then Croc becomes 2 pops. If you discard 2, pop it, and they only have 2 cards. Another way to end this combo, which is actually what I like more, is instead of making the 6 for Croco Dragon, what we're gonna do is when we have Minstrel, Shrine, is instead of doing it like that, what we'll do is we'll have these 3. So back after we summon Link for King, summon out 3, and this is what our board looks like. Another way to end the combo is to do the same thing where you do Minstrel effect, stack, where is it, the Dragoons? Oh no, I just had it. Right, there you go. Stack Dragoons, bam. So instead of ending on like the Croc and the Gaius, what you can do is you can go like this, and then you can synchro off these 2 to make Lizardos. We'll link off those 2. Lizard effect, target Grethus to draw 1. And this way, you'll get to the Dragoons, and then you can activate Shadow Squad effect, discard the Dragoons, New Chain Dragoons effect, add the infantry. And then it'll make everything up level 7 here. You can overlay Shadow Squad and Mulan Glacia for Biscayas, and then we can activate Grethus effect to revive, because our opponent only has 1 card in hand, we can only really revive Neptabyss. And because Grethus is level 7 off of the Shadow Squad, we can synchro 8 for Dragite. So this will be your end board. Depending on what you value after viewing the opponent's hand, you can summon Croc instead to get 2 pops with the infantry, or you can summon Dragite to get the spell trap negate. I like this version. You can also use Grethus to get this 3200 attack, but this rips 4 cards from your opponent's hand, so they have 1 card plus top deck, they only have 2, and then you have Gaius to negate monsters' effects. You have Dragite to negate a spell or trap, and then you also have Shrine. Discard infantry for a quick effect pop. And you have hand knowledge of what one of their 2 cards are. So yeah, that's the second combo. And now I'm going to show the third combo, the Mizuchi combo, which is my favorite. And I'll explain why as I go through it, but we will set this up real quick. All right, what do I need? That and this. Okay. All right, so we will start the same way. Neptabyss effects. Send Dragoons, add Shrine. Dragoons gets Minstrel. Activate the effect of Minstrel, discard water. Activate the effect of Shrine, tribute Neptabyss. Summon out Golcanth. New Chain Neptabyss mandatory trigger, revive level 3. Activate Golcanth, discard random card, summon out Butterfly, Pike, Grethus. It will summon. And in this combo, I also forgot to mention, we're not going to be using Numen. Instead of Numen, we will use Mizuchi. So this is whether you want to main deck Mizuchi instead of Numen and do this combo instead of the Numen Lock, or if you want to side in Mizuchi for games 2 and 3 against decks that like Numen's not very good against. This is like kind of how this is going to go down. But anyways, so you don't, in this combo we don't need Numen because it's basically an FDK. I don't know what 2 cards in the game the opponent could even have. All right, so we got this. And then we overlay these two. And you also don't need any extra bricks. Like, you're basically just swapping out one brick Numen for another, which is the Mizuchi. So we'll make the Leverchu detach butterfly fish to add back dragoons, and then we will synchro 7 for Monoceros. Activate Monoceros. Revive out Pike, activate Pike, discard dragoons. Search out Glacia using dragoons, and then search out Shadow Squad using the Pike. And similar to each of the combos before, we will overlay these two for trade. Activate the effect of trade to summon out level 3 tuner. So we'll summon out Grethus. And now, because we have 5 waters, we'll special summon Glacia. Okay. At this point, we will synchro to make Donna. And then on the summon of Donna, we will activate Butterfly Fish, discarding Shadow Squad for cost to revive itself. And then we'll activate Shadow Squad New Chain to summon out Neptabyss. Now what we want to do is link off Lay Virtue and Butterfly Fish. For Coral Anemone. No, that's not Coral Anemone. That one. And then we'll activate Anemone's effects to revive Neptabyss. We need to do it like this because we need because we want to leave Glacia on field so we can still have a battle phase, and we need to clear field space for when we link off Poseidon. So next we'll synchro 9 for Trishula. Activate the effect of Trishula, banish card from the opponent's hand. And then what we will do is overlay for Poseidon, link off Poseidon and Coral Anemone. Summon out King. On summon a King, we'll use Poseidon's effect, discard a random card. And here we will summon Shadow Squad. We will summon Minstrel, and we'll summon Shrine. On the summon, we'll activate Minstrel's effect, mill 3, and then we will stack Dragoons to the top of our deck. Let me think here one sec. So what we will need, we'll need to draw one to get the discard for Shadow Squad. And I'm trying to remember if it's Croco Dragon or if it's Lizard is how we draw. I think it's Croco Dragon. So we will go these two for Porpoise. Activate the effect of Porpoise. Revive our Grethus. And next we will use Grethus and Porpoise. Synchro 9 for Croco Dragon. Activate the effect to draw 1. We'll draw the Dragoons we sacked earlier off Minstrel. We'll activate Shadow Squad, discard Dragoons. New Chain will activate Dragoons to add Heavy Infantry. And then we will overlay Glacia and Shadow Squad because now they're level 7s. And then it's also, so after we discard Dragoons for Shadow Squad, we'll do Dragoons Chain 1, King Chain 2. And this is how you get to the Mizuchi. So King will add a spell. And then now that these are 7s, we'll overlay both of them for Mermail Atlantean. And next we'll activate Mizuchi equipping to Gaius. So this will be your end board. You rip 4 cards from the opponent's hand, so they have 1 card in hand, and they'll have 2 after the draw for turn. What's important to consider with this board too is that Mermail Atlantean has 2800 attack normally, and it can only negate monsters that have attack less than it. So by equipping Mizuchi to Gaius, it can negate monsters like Dracotail Altherion. Also, the Mizuchi equipped to Gaius is untargetable, so it's more difficult to out with Neptabyss. Yeah, and what Mizuchi does, for those who don't know, it gives 800 attack to a Mermail monster, and then when your opponent activates a spell, send it to the graveyard and negate the effect. So that's important because cards like Droplet, Forbidden Crown, Super Poly, Dark Ruler, all these cards the Dragite cannot negate, Mizuchi will negate. So this combo beats board breakers, and it also provides you with Monster Negate, pop through Croco Dragon, and then you have Shrine, Banish Infantry for another pop. So 2 pops, spell negate, monster negate, and then once Mizuchi sends itself to graveyard as cost to negate a spell, once a water monster is sent to graveyard, like say you use Shrine, banish itself, discard infantry to pop one of your opponent's cards, you draw your random card. Neptabyss King will trigger because a water monster is sent to graveyard, and it can equip Mizuchi from deck or graveyard to itself. So then you have another spell negate. So your opponent has 2 cards and you have 2 spell negates. So your opponent can't really play around this. It's basically Imperial Order. And then you have 2 cards in hand off Shrine Draw for Croco Dragon, pop again. Yeah, basically that's a combo. So thank you for watching. Any tips to do better combos, I am down. Yeah, thank you.